So, if you haven't already seen, there's finally some official word on the Beatles Sgt. Pepper reissue that's due out June 1st. Ringo chimed in about it, was very happy, which makes it seem like it's going to be a remixed version of the album. Previously, the information that was out stated that Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane will be included on the album. But now, even more exciting is the fact that this is possibly going to be a remix, which got me thinking about the history of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band on CD. So I have several versions of it myself. I mean, there's a countless number. This was the first I got. This is the standard 1987 CD, which came with a nice booklet, and this is pretty much a standard CD like the other ones, but red writing on it, which was kind of nice, I guess. I think it sounds pretty decent. Also, the same mix, but a little bit of different packaging, was this CD with a slipcase on it, which, interestingly, comes with a book that was outside of the CD. That's a little bit longer. It's like the full length of a CD case. And the interesting thing about this, it's almost all the same information, except it has the cutouts, which were not included on the regular version. So that's kind of cool. That was pretty much all that was available on CD until 2009. And in 2009, we got 3 different versions of Sgt. Pepper. So we got the trifold stereo version, which is debatable on the sound. It sounds pretty good, like that. But even better was the mono edition from the mono box set, which is really interesting to listen to, and is my personal preference. Interestingly enough, there is also, some of you may not realize this, this is a bootlegged copy of Beatles Rock Band, and this has the full Sgt. Pepper album that was made available. I think there were some songs at first that were released on Rock Band, and then digital download, you could get the rest of the album, but the whole album was done for the Beatles Rock Band. Really interesting. The songs themselves are interesting to listen to. As an album, it's a little bit awkward because each of the tracks has a intro and a ending, a proper ending, with the exception of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band into With a Little Help from My Friends is the standard way. It's like one track for those two, but the rest of them start with a count in and end with a proper ending. So it's interesting to listen to, but as an album, which really, Sgt. Pepper is just one of those cohesive albums that is great to listen to just as a song cycle and not necessarily individual tracks. Like, I don't really often get the desire to listen to Lovely Rita Mita Maid or Good Morning, but as part of the album, I quite enjoy them. So I really like to listen to Sgt. Pepper as an album as opposed to other singles and things that I might like to listen to individually. So the information that Ringo put out about liking the way the drums were mixed really makes me think that the current one is going to be a remix. Oh, also, another one here. This was released in 2014. This is the SHM CD from Japan, which is the stereo remaster from 2009, but in a the album format, similar to the mono version. So I guess it's debatable whether or not this sounds any better than the standard stereo edition from 2009. I don't have a good enough system to really notice the difference, but I like the packaging. I really like the mono box set. It's really my personal favorite of any Beatles product. So I wanted the stereo to match the packaging, kind of the aesthetic quality of that mono box set. I mean, the Japanese stuff is really great, so I love this. But as far as a listening experience, I really tend to go for the mono edition from the mono box set, and I'm really interested to hear the new version in June. I'm not really that excited that they're going to add Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane. That's really kind of a gimmick novelty to me, but I really want to hear the remix of those songs in stereo. I think that would be great. The only thing I don't like, and feel free to leave a comment below, I don't like the ending of Good Morning into Sgt. Pepper Reprise in mono. I think it's really sloppy. The stereo version, they have a rhythmic thing to it. It sounds much better. The mono, it sounds sloppy. The stereo sounds much better. So that's really the only gripe I have with the mono. But otherwise, it's really good. I mean, there's quite a few little differences in it, and of course, John Lennon was quoted as saying, "If you haven't heard Sgt. Pepper in mono, you haven't heard Sgt. Pepper." I like it in stereo also. It's Sgt. Pepper mono stereo. It's a great album. But the stereo version is a really interesting listen, and the one I prefer most often as a continuous album to listen to that song cycle. And like I said, I'm really excited to hear the reissue if it's going to be completely remixed and some of the instruments brought up and presented in a new and interesting way. I think that would be a cool listen, and a lot more exciting than just getting the addition of the single, which was the Penny Lane Strawberry Fields Forever single, added onto the album. The remix, I think most fans are going to find much more exciting and be much more interested to hear how they went about remixing it. Giles Martin, I think, did the Rock Band edition, and again, it's a really interesting listen. It's cool. I like how they did brought out the bass in some areas, and you hear the drums a little bit. And again, Ringo is excited about the way the drums sound. The funny thing about that is that Ringo claims to have not heard the album in a couple of decades, which I find funny because, all of these new Beatles releases always say they're officially, accepted by the Beatles, by Paul McCartney, Ringo, and then the estates of John Lennon and George Harrison, obviously. And for Ringo to say he hasn't heard it in a couple decades would mean that he never heard the stereo, mono, or rock band versions of this that came out less than 10 years ago. So I don't know what you're doing, Ringo, but maybe try to have a listen to those things if you're going to approve them. So I thought that was funny that Ringo made that comment. But he apparently listened to this latest one that's due out in June, and he likes it. And I, for one, am looking forward to hearing it. So let me know what you think.